Am I the asshole for unintentionally ruining a marriage? Let me start with the backstory. A couple of decades ago in college, I worked very closely with a great guy. He didn't reveal a lot about his home life and I respected that. I didn't reveal everything about me, and he never pushed me to reveal anything further apart from if I had a girlfriend or not. I still hadn't told him I'm gay. I get good vibes from him though, like he likes me in a romantic way, as he always said things or done things, such as mentioning his six-pack whilst looking at me when he was talking to others about his fitness routines, finding reasons to spend more time with me, etc. I did like him, but I just wasn't ready to tell him about me or that I liked him. One day he receives a phone call from his wife to say she was pregnant. Absolutely wonderful news. At this point, I hadn't even known he was married, as he wasn't even wearing a ring. He seemed absolutely thrilled about the news, but soon began to pull away from me since then. Even more so after his child was born. Eventually I have to leave college and we say we will stay in touch and meet up regularly to catch up. But pretty soon we stopped talking altogether. For a couple years I tried to speak to him but hear nothing back. Until out of the blue he messages me and wants to meet up. I agree and we arrange for a time and date we can both do. We meet and we ask the usual questions of how's everything and everyone, etc. I ask him how he likes being a dad. He loves it. I finally bit the bullet and told him about my sexuality and liking him, and apologized for not telling him sooner. He said it was fine and he was fine with me being gay too. We carry on chatting for a while, then we say our goodbyes. So we agree to again stay in touch and meet up regularly. But this didn't happen. Despite me trying to talk to him for a few months, nothing. Until about 4 years ago. He calls me and asks to meet. We do. He then tells me that his marriage is falling apart but they are working on fixing things. To me this says he wants it to work. But his face kinda looks defeated. Like he is already willing to give up. I tell him if he wants to talk any time or needs my support, that I am there for him as I am for all my family and friends. We part ways and we do speak sort of regularly. But in our recent chat, he is divorcing his wife. She messaged me online with a fair amount of abuse saying that I'm a homewrecker, etc. He had told her he doesn't love her anymore and that he admitted to being bi. She blames me saying it's my relationship with him that's wrecked things, and he had apparently told her that he likes me. He still hasn't told me that he likes me, nor have I told him she messaged me or that I know. But am I the asshole for this happening? Edit. To clarify some of the things people have said. I haven't pursued him, nor have I met up with him for anything more than a chat to catch up with things. When we talked he was still asking about if I had a girlfriend, which is when I came out to him. He had also asked if I had any crushes on anyone in college. I would never, and I cannot emphasize that enough, never be with a married guy. Romantically or sexually. To repeat, I have not pursued him. Given you've hardly spoken to the man in decades, you aren't responsible for his failing marriage. However, you never should have told a married man you had feelings for him. It was never going to work well and was almost certainly part of the reason why he dropped contact again. Not the asshole. You did literally nothing. Your friend is a mess. Stay away from him. Just wondering why you'd meet up with a man who's married with children and tell him you're gay and you like him. Would responses be the same if this was a female who met up with a coworker who's married with kids and did that? You are the asshole simply because of that. Not the asshole sounds like your friend wasn't being honest with himself or those around him for quite some time. Obviously coming out is difficult, but that's much more difficult when you're in a dedicated, seemingly heterosexual relationship with a child. It's not like you two were having some secret relationship behind her back. You were friends. His wife is hurt and is lashing out. It's unfair to put that on you. If it wasn't going to be you, it's likely that someone else would encourage your friend to come to terms with their sexuality anyway. It's not your fault per se, but I don't understand why you want to be with someone who seemed to have a secret relationship with you that he hid from his wife. The wife probably had no clue you existed up until that point. Not the asshole technically, but he sounds like asshole for stringing you both along. Absolutely not the asshole. It was not you who drove a wedge into their marriage. You are the asshole for telling a married man that you had feelings for him. How would you feel if you were married and a person told your husband that? It's not appropriate and you know it. Not the asshole. You had chemistry with someone, stayed in touch, didn't cross any obvious boundaries with your behavior together. And now he is trying to leave a relationship while processing coming out. Sounds like a difficult situation for him and his wife. She's putting the blame on you because you may have inspired an awakening in him, or confirmed what he's always known. Any which way, you're not the asshole. Am I the asshole for getting mad at my girlfriend for changing my privacy settings? Backstory. My girlfriend always has access to my phone whenever she wants to. If she felt the need to go through it for whatever reason, she could. I have nothing to hide. Now she constantly says I'm cheating or thinking about it, joking or not, will get insecure and go through my phone. I still don't have a problem with it. She's very private on social media. I'm her boyfriend and still don't get to see what she posts. She blocks everybody who follows her from seeing her IG stories, posts. I don't get a special treatment. We use TikTok a lot, and unlike most apps, TikTok gives you the option to control whether your likes are seen by anybody or not. I'm private myself and don't want anyone snooping through my likes, so I put them on private. She has her likes private too and refuses to let anybody see them, not even me. However, the problem starts here. She's extremely insecure lately and went through my phone whether I'm up or asleep to monitor my likes. I told her that wasn't necessary because I felt I didn't deserve to be micromanaged on my own account. Most of them are dumb jokes, sex jokes, relationship advice, complaints, and occasionally a provocative TikTok. It's my account, I should be able to use it however I want to. As a boyfriend, I will 100% admit that I shouldn't have been doing that. I said that I was wrong and I won't be doing that again. I respect her, so it's something I can stop. She, on the other hand, can look at those same exact videos and like them. She swings both ways. But God forbid if I do. However, what I didn't notice is that after the few times that she went through my likes is that she changed my settings from private to public and didn't tell me for weeks. The reason I know this now is because she told me on the phone about what I liked and sent me the exact videos. She then said that it was embarrassing for her to see this. I was livid. In my defense, the reasons why I got upset with her is because 1. My account is used to promote my music, and since it's the most active, people will come to my page to look at what I've made. If they happen see my likes, it will look unprofessional, even if the sexy videos weren't there. I've had the app for 2 years, I've liked a lot of shit. 2. My family follows my page, and since TikTok is primarily a kids app, most of my cousins who are between the ages of 10–14 follow me. Me being the older cousin, I want to set a good example for them. Stuff like that is the last thing they need to see. That is embarrassing more than anything. 3. I felt that she took it too far by trying to control something that wasn't hers. Granted, she had every reason to be upset, but to put my privacy on display for everyone to see just so she can monitor my likes without having to use my phone is extremely controlling to me. I even suggested that she has my account instead, but she feels that she did nothing wrong. I gave a genuine apology and I got a forced sorry. So, am I the asshole for being mad at her for changing my settings behind my back? Your girl sounds fucking nuts, bro. Either she's 100% cuckoo or she's cheating on you and projecting. Either way, before I read about the search party looking for your body, get out now. Your girlfriend is most likely cheating on you. People who are paranoid in this way are at it themselves. They want to check your phone, because they use their phone for shady stuff. They accuse you of cheating because they're cheating. Not the asshole, your girlfriend is probably cheating on you, and the paranoia is a symptom of that. Why the hell aren't you allowed to see her Instagram? Why can't you see her social media posts? This is really strange and weird. Like, seriously sounds like an abusive relationship where you aren't allowed any privacy and she has unlimited privacy. Not the asshole, but this sounds like a much larger issue than her simply changing your privacy settings. What I'm hearing is that you're expected to justify every interaction you have on social media to your girlfriend, but that this is a clear one-way street. In my experience, when one person spends their time blindly accusing the other person of a misdeed, they are often guilty of that deed. A con man expects everyone to try to con him, and a cheater expects everyone to cheat. It sounds like there's a much larger issue going on here than your girlfriend policing your social media. Not the asshole also, you sure you want to stay in a relationship with her? This is crazy shit. Not the asshole. Your girlfriend is invasive, petty and controlling. Not the asshole. Run now. If you were doing this to her, people would be telling her to run. Not the asshole in this. My girlfriend always has access to my phone whenever she wants to. If she felt the need to go through it for whatever reason, she could. I have nothing to hide. Is a big red flag. None of my boyfriend ever had access to my phone, computer, accounts. Even if I had nothing to hide, if they felt the need to check, that means there was a lack of trust. Would I be the asshole if I rescinded an offer for a friend's family to visit my home? I, 27M, and my S.O., 29F, visited my friend last summer. He has 2 kids with his wife, newborn and 2 Y.O. For context, I was college buddies with the friend, but I've gotten to be good friends with the wife as well. I was the best man at their wedding. I was excited to see them, and they let us stay with them, but they did not let us in on the fact that we would be sharing the same bedroom as the 2 Y.O. until we got there. I was fine with it, but my S.O. was not, but she took it in stride. I wish I would have known the fact prior because I would have discussed it with my S.O. and we probably would have gotten a hotel. She and I are fortunate to be able to make enough to make audibles like that on the fly. This was my S.O.'s first meeting with the family and I wanted it to go well, so I would have gotten the hotel to prevent any friction, but I didn't do it. See, I didn't want to make my friend and his wife feel like I'm rejecting their home. Anyways, the 2 Y.O. is going through his terrible twos but is a little spoiled. He does the typical stuff. Scream, cry, throw tantrums, but he will also intentionally vomit for attention. My S.O. never said anything, but she's got a crappy poker face and was visibly disappointed with the 2 Y.O.'s behavior. The puking is a big sticking point. It happened multiple times throughout the weekend. Later, after we left, the wife called and asked if my S.O. had a problem with her kids. See, the wife could see the disappointment on my S.O.'s face. I told the truth, something about honesty being the best policy, and said that she doesn't dislike the kids, but she wasn't extremely happy with the way the 2 Y.O. behaved. The wife gets super upset and says stuff like as a mom she has an obligation to defend her kids, and she shouldn't ever have to fight anyone about her kids. The kids will always come first, etc. We had plans for us to return the favor, but now the wife is saying I need to have a talk with my S.O. about the way she is around the kids. I responded that I have, and I really did. But I'd like her to meet me halfway and realize the 2 Y.O. wasn't behaving. The wife was having none of that. At this point I'm kind of frustrated because 1. I get my S.O. has a bad poker face, but she never said anything bad or did anything like storm out of the house. Her face just showed visible frustration. And I think a normal human reaction to a kid intentionally blowing chunks on the floor for attention would be, WTF. 2. I'm not a fan of the white knight parenting. There's room for compromise in most situations and I'm not okay with the unconditional defending stuff. If you can't recognize bad behavior and you just want to defend it unconditionally, I think that's not okay. At this point I kind of want to rescind the offer to come see us because I'm not a fan of the whole "she has to like my kids more" thing. And if the wife can't see her kids' bad behavior, then I don't want to risk a weird situation. Would I be the asshole if I said to just scratch the plans? Not the asshole who invites guests and sticks them in with their 2-year-old WTF. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Not the asshole. The whole blowing chunks at their house alone would have made me vomit. Vom on my own carpet? Absolutely not. Why did you continue to stay at their house in the first place? Not the asshole. It was extremely odd that they made you share a room with a child, especially one so young. And defending a child's poor behavior is not exactly great either. It doesn't automatically make them bad parents, but it's not a good look either. Give it some time and maybe reconsider the reciprocal visit in a few months. Not the asshole as a mom. I can tell you that the mom stance, when I'm certain she knows the self-induced vomiting is off-putting and could even trigger sympathetic vomiters, is likely fueled by embarrassment. If you can't discuss and resolve this with your friend, I think it's reasonable to postpone their trip until 2 Y.O. is out of this phase. This is such a tough one, might get downvoted. The asshole move from their side was to make you sleep in the same room as a 2-year-old. Also can imagine it was a nightmare if the kid is spoiled. But telling her honestly that the kid was the problem. This might be fully cultural because where I come from that's the biggest no-no. Unless something really goes terribly wrong or you're in such great relationship you can share openly. You just don't discuss other people's parenting, and where I'm from you would be the asshole for that. But I also wouldn't want to have them over if the kid vomits the whole time and throws tantrums. So going with not the asshole. Not the asshole. No need for a puking toddler destroying your floors and furniture. Not the asshole who put their 2-yo with their guest. If it's just 2-day visit, let the toddler sleep with his parent. Maybe have a talk with your significant other and see what she feel about this before continuing. Not the asshole. She is the kind of parent that needs to learn that while children are the center of her world, they are not the center of the world. This is a touchy subject, but you should not subject your SO to this type of behavior from a toddler or a mama bear. If they are your friends and are unwilling to take polite criticism, then a really honest truth is that your friendship may be reaching a point where it evolves from super close to superficial. Parents who lose single friends don't understand, but it's because of stuff like this. People without kids don't want to be subjected to known gross behavior. Vomiting is gross no matter who does it, and trying to shame your SO for not being okay with it is kind of gross and taking advantage of your friendship. Am I the asshole for not following my husband's new religious beliefs? I, 28F, and my husband, 29M, met in college and have been married for 6 years. My husband was raised in a strict evangelical household but broke away from those beliefs around the time we met. We had what I thought was a very happy marriage until my husband's father passed away in early 2021. He received a cancer diagnosis and was gone a few weeks later. My husband was and is, very understandably, completely devastated. He had remained very close to his father, despite no longer following the religious beliefs of his childhood. My husband decided to honor his father's memory by rejoining his church. Unfortunately, it is one of those churches that forbids many things I find fun and relatively harmless and classifies them as addictions or tools of Satan. For example, before his father's passing, my husband and I enjoyed having a glass of wine or cocktail now and then, maybe a couple times a week, and also enjoyed weed or edibles, legally, once every month or two. But after joining the church, my husband decided he was an alcoholic and drug addict. He also decided that his occasional porn use, we enjoyed it together to spice things up now and then, was also an addiction. He is now insisting that I am also an addict because I don't want to give all these things up. I tried to meet him halfway. I don't care about weed and am fine never using again, and agreed not to drink at home if my husband truly wanted to have a sober household, but said I would still want to have an occasional drink when out with friends. I will admit I like, written, erotica, which he never thought was a problem until he became religious. He also threw away my vibrator, saying it was an instrument of the devil. The latest is that my husband's pastor told him video games, all games, not just M-rated ones, are sinful, and now my husband is insisting I have a video game addiction and need treatment. Gaming is a main hobby for me, probably around 8–10 hours a week. It's not an addiction in my view, just something I really enjoy. I work full-time, cook, clean, exercise, etc. I'm not neglecting anything else in my life, except respect for my husband's new beliefs, I guess, by gaming. My husband wants me to start going to church with him. He says he will go to couples counseling, but only through his church, not to a secular counselor. I told him that I understand he is grieving and struggling and I want to be kind and supportive, and if it really helps we can keep alcohol and weed out of the house. But I am not going to become an evangelical. Unlike him, I was raised with atheist parents, and am not going to restrict myself to activities he finds acceptable under his religious beliefs. I also asked him to please stop labeling habits he doesn't like as addiction. Of course, he now thinks I am an asshole for being mean to him while he is grieving. Most of our family members and friends also think I should do what he asks in the name of being supportive. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You've already made far more concessions to him than I feel like you need to. I appreciate he is grieving, but you shouldn't have to change your entire life to be supportive. It sounds like pretty much everything you do for any kind of recreation he's having an issue with. It's your personal time, he should have no control over what you do with it. And I definitely wouldn't do the church couples counseling. I would not trust them to have a neutral, unbiased perspective. Not the asshole. Your husband is being unreasonable and unhealthy. He may practice whatever faith he wants. Being married does not obligate you to do the same. If your husband doesn't get back to himself, then sadly I don't know if your marriage will last. I am very sorry. Not the asshole. You don't share his belief, and don't wish to, which should be the end of that discussion. Religious belief, or lack thereof, is intensely personal, and cannot be forced upon anyone. My grandfather was fond of saying, "A man convinced against his will, is of the same opinion still." I agree that couples counseling is in order, but it must not be through his church. That's an instant and automatic 2-against-1 situation. You need an impartial counselor, and that means a secular counselor. Sadly, you probably need to consider that your marriage may be nearing its end, and prepare yourself for life without him. You didn't mention any children. I hope that's because there aren't any. Not the asshole. I have to be honest, I would be consulting a divorce attorney. If you have a joint account, I would pull out my money and opening a new bank account in a different bank. Then I would be packing up my belongings and moving out, leaving him my attorney's business card and tell him to have his attorney call my attorney. Your husband has jumped over the cliff and is totally unreasonable. We are living in 2021, not the Middle Ages. He is treating Op in a very controlling manner. Not the asshole. Man, this sub sometimes makes me really sad for people. Like, my husband joined a cult and decided we can't have sex for 6 months. I'm not allowed to smoke weed, drink, play video games, or read certain materials. The only couples counseling hell except if from said cult. Am I the asshole? On what planet is this normal and acceptable to the point where Op has to come to the internet to see if she is the asshole? And her I hope soon to be former friends and family are on his side? What the hell? This is probably going to sound incredibly rude and I apologize ahead of time for that. However, your husband has joined something kinda cult-like? I'm not an expert or anything like that, so this is just based off of many hours of true crime podcasts. Either way, I think you were very compromising to him, kicking weed and hooch out of the house, but he was not the same. This is a pickle to say the least. I certain don't think you're the but I don't know what advice to offer unfortunately. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Grief can change people, and the church is designed to take advantage of people who are in impressionable stages in life. One of those being loss. Explaining the way they can avoid that grief for the rest of his life. He thinks he's saving you. They've convinced him this is what he has to do to get saved himself and see his father again. How long has this been going on? The question you need to ask yourself is if you are willing to wait for him to hopefully see your side? Is ever going to walk away again? I'd recommend seeing a therapist yourself to help you sort out your boundaries. Good luck. Not the asshole. You husband is no longer your husband, he is now the ghost of your father-in-law.